Guys, in day one of making the duct tape wallets, we're going to start just by making the fabric sheet. This will be the main piece that will turn into our wallet. The supplies you are going to need is your duct tape. I'm going to be using blue and silver during the video. That way you can kind of see how the parts go together better. You're going to need your stencil that we made on the previous day. That is that 6x9-inch rectangle of copy paper that we cut out. You'll need your ruler and an X-Acto knife. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut our pieces. We'll get them all laid out before we start putting them together. Now, this fabric is 9x6. The piece that we're going to start making is a little bit bigger than that. It's actually going to be closer to 10 inches by 7 inches, roughly. So the first thing you're going to need to do is make sure your cutting board is flat on the table, fuzzy side up. That's just going to help make the removal of the tape and handling the tape go a little bit smoother for you. I'm going to find the edge of my tape. And I'm going to start by just stretching out a piece of tape, and I'm going to lay it down towards the top of my board, and I'm going to smooth it out flat. Okay. Now with my ruler, I'm going to make sure I start with my 0 on the left side, and I'm going to make a mark at 10 inches. So now that I have that mark, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to pull the blade towards me, put the knife down, and I can pull that up. Now we're going to have 4 strips that are 10 inches long. Now, since we measured this first one and we're just going for rough lengths, since this is going to be trimmed down later, we can actually use this one as a guide. So we don't have to use our ruler to measure the next one. So what I'm going to do is with the blue tape now, I'm going to alternate colors, is just underneath that, I'm going to line it up so it's lined up on the left side. Stretch it out. And then I'm going to cut it where the silver lands. Okay. I'm going to do this 2 more times. So you're going to have a total of 4 pieces that are 10 inches long. Again, I'm going to alternate just so we can kind of see how stuff goes together. I'll use these existing cut pieces as a guide. No need to measure. Lining it up on the left side. And then cutting so they're the same length. Okay. So you'll have 4 pieces of duct tape. It's okay if they're all the same color. You can alternate colors. You can use as many colors as you want. If you brought your own duct tape, that is fine by me. But in our next step, we're going to overlap these to start making them a piece of fabric. Now, when we overlap them, we want it to be uniform. So that way we can kind of keep our edges straight as possible. It'll give it a cleaner look. It'll look nicer. So what we're going to do is with your ruler on the top piece, I'm going to make 2 marks. I am going to use my ruler. I'm going to set my 0 up on the bottom edge and make a mark at the 4th inch. Come over towards the other side, line up my 0 on the bottom, make a mark at 4th inch. And I am going to do that to only the top 3 pieces of tape. And that's going to make sense why we only do it to the top 3 here in a second. Now you can see I have 2 marks, 1/4 of an inch up. That's approximately the width of a pen or a pencil. But now what I'm going to use these marks for is a guide on how much of an overlap. So I'm going to take the second piece. I'm going to peel it off. And I'm going to overlap it just so it covers those spots. And then I'm going to smooth it out. Then I'm going to do the same with this third piece. I'm going to put it on there just so it covers the dots. Smooth it out. Now, the reason we didn't put dots on this last one is because when I peel this up and cover up those dots, we don't have any dots on this bottom one exposed that people will be able to see. Okay. So now that you have, this is going to be one side of our fabric. So if you look at a finished piece, both sides are the shiny side of the duct tape. This is going to be one of those sides. So now what I'm going to do is, starting in the top corner, I am going to peel this off. It should all come off together. Peel slowly. But now we can set this piece of fabric just to the side. Make sure you put it sticky side up. Just put it to the side where it won't get bumped or fall off the table. And then now we're going to repeat that process that we just did. So I'm going to start by rolling out a piece of tape. Line up my 0 on the left side. Go over to the 10. Make my mark. Now with my knife, I'm going to cut there. And just like we did last time, I'm going to use this 10-inch piece as a guide. We don't have to measure each one. We just want to make sure they're at least 10 inches. Work smarter, not harder. So I'm going to work my way through, lay out the pieces again. Make sure you put the knife down after cutting when you're handling the tape. That way you don't accidentally poke yourself or anybody else at your table. So there I have 4 more pieces of tape ready to go. So with my ruler again, on the top 3 pieces, I'm going to line up my 0, make a mark 1/4 inch down, line up my 0. The 1/4 inch mark is the first mark. And just like last time, we are only doing it on the top 3 pieces of tape. Okay. So I have my marks laid out. A little fuzzy, I can peel that off. I'm gonna lay it just so it covers those dots, smooth it out so it's nice and flat. Take your time on this. You do not need to go as fast as I am going. We just want to make sure we can keep it as smooth as possible. So then we'll put this 4th one on, cover up the 2 dots. And we don't have any dots on the bottom to expose it. So now, on this next step, we need to be very careful because we're actually going to stick the 2 pieces of fabric that we made sticky side to sticky side. This, you want to have gentle hands. This might even require the help of a partner, somebody at your table that can just give you an extra set of hands. The main part of this is if the 2 pieces start to get crooked or get wrinkly, don't panic. If you need help, get me, get Mr. Venn if he's here, get somebody at your table to help. The last thing you want to do is start panicking and shaking it and trying to pull really, really hard, because that's when things can get really sideways on you and we have to start over. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to peel it off just like we did the other one. Make sure it's nice and slow so we don't pull it apart. Okay. Now I'm just going to lay this one flat on the board so it's sticky side up. And I'm going to grab the other piece that we had set aside. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully line it up on that top edge. And just let it slide down. And now I'm going to smooth it out so it's flat. Okay. So now when we pick it up, both sides is our fabric. Now you'll see that it's big compared to this rectangle that we cut out the day before. This is the size that we want our fabric to be. We have a little extra overhang. That's a good thing. That means we have room for error. So if you have any wrinkles on the sides, on the top, bottom edge, this would be a time that you can kind of be picky about where you cut your 9x6 rectangle out of. If you can, if you have a bump that's in there and it's kind of an eyesore, if you can cut it out now, that would be awesome. Mine looks pretty good. I'm just going to put it right in the middle. So now I'm going to use my X-Acto knife and we're just going to trim all these sides. So to help keep this straight, I'm going to use my ruler just as a straight edge guide. And I'm going to drag the knife down. Now I am putting some pressure on this. I'm cutting through 2 layers of duct tape. Put my knife down. And we should be able to peel that tape off. If you have to recut it, like I have a spot right here that didn't cut all the way through, you can always recut. Take your scrap, make sure that gets thrown away. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the other side, make sure it's lined up over here. Use my ruler as a straight edge guide. Pull off my scraps. Now the top and bottom, you always want to pull the knife towards yourself with the blade pointed away from you, but you'll pull the handle towards you. So I always want to make sure I'm oriented so I can do that. So right now I'm going to put it so it's going vertically. Put my ruler along the edge. Pull that one off. And I'm going to do the same thing here, make sure I'm lined up. So now if I look at my fabric, it is the same size as that template we cut out the day before. Okay. Okay, so the last thing we're going to do on this first day is now we're going to create a hem, like an edge that'll just kind of clean it up, because you might have some spots that you can still see some exposed tape. There might be wrinkles. So we're going to put this edge on here that'll help hold it together and makes it look a little bit nicer. So to do that, I'm going to cut one piece of tape that is 10 inches long. So I'm going to roll out my tape. Line up my 0 with the left side. Measure 10 inches. So I have my 10-inch mark. And then I'm going to cut it there. So now I have a piece of tape that is 10 inches long. Now this next part, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rotate my board 90 degrees. And I'm going to cut this tape right down the middle. So we're going to end up with two pieces of tape that are 10 inches long. So I'm just going to carefully start at the top, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but I am just going to cut right down the middle, drag my hand straight down. Put the knife down, make sure that this did pull apart. Okay, so I have two pieces of tape that are 10 inches long. Now what I'm going to do with these two pieces is I'm going to take this first piece, I'm going to put it so it's half on and half off. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So I'm going to lay it down, try to keep my line straight. So now if I flip this over, you can still see that there's exposed sticky side of the tape here. So this side is all blue. This side is the sticky side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over. So it kind of gives us a nice little lip. I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom side. I can get my tape off. Line it up so it's half on, half off. Make it smooth. Flip it over so the sticky side is up. And then I'm going to flip that side down. Okay. And now just to clean this edge up, I'm going to take my X-Acto knife. You can even use a scissors for this point, but I'm just going to cut off these extra little tabs. And you have your fabric. This is the start of the main body of your wallet. We'll eventually start adding the pockets in your ID badge and tie it all up, but you are on your way. All right, good job.